Hi, computer scientists. Today we're going to go over max and index a little bit more in depth because I noticed you were making some mistakes on your previous assignment. So here I have a list. I called the name of the list numbers, and I put equals and a bracket to make it a list. And I separate everything with commas. So let's do a review of a function we have not looked at in a while. So if I was to print the length of numbers, what would this output? Well, if I press run, 9. The reason it is 9 is because there are 9 items in the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So length is a function that returns how many items are in a list. Now there's another function that we learned about in the last video called max. What does max return? Well, if I press run, it prints 11. Why do you think it prints 11? Well, 11 is the biggest number in the list. It's the maximum number in the list. So if I was to change this one to 100, what would the maximum be now? The maximum is 100. That's the biggest number in the list. There's a similar function called min. What number is the minimum number in this list? Run, -7. -7 is the smallest number in this list. So that's what this min and max does. Finds the smallest number and the biggest number in the list. Now, oftentimes, instead of wanting the actual minimum or maximum value, we want instead the index of that value. There's another function called index. It's actually an attribute of a list. So you start by typing the name of your list. Here the name of our list is numbers. You put a dot, index. And then in parentheses, you put the number that you want the index for. So if I put index 11, what index is the number 11 at? Well, if it's at the beginning of the list, that must be index 0. If I run this, it does give me 0. So this returns the index, the position of a value in a list. If I delete 11 and I put 5, what will this print? It prints 3 because 5 is at index 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. What if I change it to 100? What will this output? 5. 100 is at index 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What about -7? It will be 8. 8, if we start at 0, we have 9 elements. The last one is 8. So, we now know what index does. Let's combine index and max. So what we were doing in our previous assignment to find our favorite food, we had to first find the maximum score. So here, to find the maximum number, we're going to type max numbers. We can save this as a variable if we want. So I'm going to call it maxnum for the maximum number. Next, once we have our maximum number, which in this case is 100, we want to find the index of that maximum. So to find the max index, I'm going to say numbers, the name of my list, dot index, and in parentheses, I need to put the number that I want. Now, Sometimes it will be 100. Right now the max is 100, but if I change the list, I want this code to always run correctly. So instead of putting 100, a number here, I'm going to put max num. So let's now print this as a sentence. We're going to say the maximum number is. Remember, if we want to add something to a sentence to be printed, we put plus and my variable name, which is max num. And then I want another sentence. The maximum is at index, and then I want to put the index. What variable holds the index? Max index. So now if I run this code, I'm getting an error, can only concatenate strings. Right now, max num is an integer, and I need to change it into a string. In order to change an integer into a string, I need to cast it using stir and putting it in parentheses. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Now if I run this, it says the maximum number is 100. The maximum is at index 5. Now if I change this list, if I make now this 500, what will it print out? The maximum number is 500. The maximum is at index 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. This is now the biggest number. So this was your assignment that was due on Thursday last week, and quite a few people left this part blank. In order to do this part, you need to use the max and the index that we just found. Remember this from the last video? Well, in the end, what we did was we took our scores list and we found the index of the maximum score. And we saved that as a variable. Then we used the index from the scores list to find the corresponding movie. And we saved that as a variable. Then, in the end, we added that to our string to print it at the end. We then had to update our list to delete that highest value so we could find the second favorite score, and we did the same thing. So make sure in your assignment you do something very similar to this part at the end. I hope this helps you improve your code and to learn more Python. Have a great day.